Well, I was actually came from a line of public school teachers, and I was a public school teacher myself. I went to college and was trained to teach in public school, and I taught in both private Christian school and public school for years. And then when I became pregnant with my first, the minute I held that little girl in my hand, I realized this is my child. This isn't anybody else's child. And my husband said to me, I was working full time. And so the initial decision was, do I come home? And it was a no-brainer. He said, God didn't give us these kids for someone else to raise. And so when our first turned 5, that truth that he spoke didn't change. All of a sudden, just because she's 5, it didn't change that, well, now it's someone else's turn to raise. And it wasn't that I had a bad experience in the public school as a teacher. It's just that I raised 26 other kids every day, not their parents. And now God gave me my kids, and it was my turn to raise my own children. And so that's how it started with us. And then, like you said, it kind of morphed for you. I truly was passionate about being home with my kids. I know not everybody, it's not I don't know how they're wired. They don't love it the way I love it, but I love being with my kids. Yeah. But then we had to go to God's word and say, there's got to be more, because I'm sure there's going to be days where I don't love changing diapers. I'm sure that's coming. And so when we went to God's word, just over and over and over, it pointed us to, this is God's design. This is God's design. Every time God talks about children, he's talking to the parents. Train up your children in the way they should go. Teach them when they lie down and when they get up. It's all to the parents. Other than when he was speaking to the disciples who were trying to keep the children from him. But when he's talking to the parents, he says, teach them and train them. And so we just realized, this is awesome. We love it, but it's also God's plan and his design. And so that's what's kept us through the harder times when it hasn't been all joy and wonderful and laughter. But when we're obedient to God, that's where the blessings are. So that's kind of where we started. And I have a story similar to Karen's, that my parents were both educators. And when we said homeschool, they thought weird. And they just couldn't wrap their heads around it. They trusted us as parents, but they really had a hard time wrapping their heads around it. But eventually they're sold out. Like, they tell everybody, I think, on the road sharing about homeschool and how much they love it and how great it is. So that's our journey, and that's our why. Is God's word. It's pretty clear in there that this is what he's called us to do. And so that's how we do it. And another struggle I had is for the who is called to homeschool. So many people say, oh, well, you have the college degree to do so. And, oh, you have the state certification to do so. And honestly, that was my greatest struggle. That was the greatest thing I had to overcome to be a homeschool mom, because I was bringing the system into my home. And I had a dear friend say to me one day, you might as well ship your kids out and go get a cup of coffee if you're just going to bring that into your house. So nowhere in God's word does it say that you need a certification, and nowhere does it say that you need to have a college degree to do this. It says that as parents, through him, we're called to do it. So that means everybody. That means every parent that has a child, God will equip to teach and train their children in righteousness.